So we're looking forward to your presentation, Jeff.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here today. I'm honored. And I got to be honest, I'm very humbled to be here with you all today. Before I get started, I know I'm not in charge, but I got to lay out a couple of rules. The first one is, please, if I get too loud, give me the, turn it down or something. I get very animated. I get very excited. And I'm talking about something that's really near and dear to me and my life, and quite a lot of other people's lives. So if I get a little loud, just please give me the hand and arm signal to tone it down a little bit, okay? Like I said, I was introduced, my name is Gunnery Sergeant Jeff Shilanski. I'm a retired Marine. I spent 21 years in the Marine Corps. The only thing I did in the Marine Corps was everything. I'm an infantryman. I spent 21 years in the infantry. I never left the infantry. And since we started our battle on the global war of terrorism, I've been 100% all in on it all the way up until the day I retired. Next slide, please.
There we go.
Thank you. 22 veterans a day in the United States of America commit suicide. 22 veterans a day. And what I'd like to do, if you don't mind, is I'd like to tell you all about a day in the near past when it was almost 23 on a particular day. Let me tell you where it started from. I'm 47 years old. I retired from the Marine Corps and I was almost 40. And there's some stuff that goes with that. I knew that I was an alcoholic since I was about 25 years old. There was no doubt in my mind that once I was in my mid-20s that I was physically and mentally and emotionally addicted to alcohol. And it played a major part of my life. The one thing about being in the Marine Corps, especially in the small units that I was involved in and the small team missions that I was involved in, it's a lot like being a professional athlete. It's also a lot like I imagine it's in the civilian and corporate world too, in the fact that because I was really, really good at my job, people look the other way on a lot of my shortcomings, namely my addiction to alcohol. You see, I can run really well. I can shoot better than most anybody in the entire world. I can hike, I can swim, I can train, and I can fight. And because of that, 99% of the United States Marine Corps was willing to look the other way on my shortfalls with addiction to alcohol. I say 99% because with about 2 years left in the Corps, I was ready to retire. And my mentor, my brother, a guy that I love dearly and I talk to on a regular basis still to this day, he came to me and he said, "Hey, Ski," because that's what people with last name is Shilanski get called now and then. He said, "Hey, Ski, if your drinking's out of control and you're too much of a liability when we're back here in the United States. And if you don't quit drinking, I can't let you go on deployment anymore." And I really needed that. I needed one more deployment. I felt like it was important to do one more deployment. So I quit drinking. And I'm going to tell you here right now, ladies and gentlemen, if you know anybody who's a slave to a beverage, who's addicted to anything like I was, I'm here to tell you, I didn't drink for that 2 years because my deployment was really important to me, but it was the worst 2 years of my entire life. It was absolutely deplorable. I'm going to tell you how horrible it was that on the day I retired, I had a retirement party and all of my friends, all of my family, all of my brothers in arms that I had served with over that 20 years was all at this wonderful, well-planned party. And the ceremony was beautiful. And I was absolutely miserable. I was so miserable because That seemed like an event that I should have been drinking at. But, you know, 2 years after I retired, post-traumatic stress, or as you were, I'm sorry, after I retired, post-traumatic stress became a real big part of my life. I had already been suffering from PTSD, but because of the bond that I had, the structure that I had in the Marine Corps, and the measures put in place, it was controlled to a certain extent. But once I retired, PTSD and chronic pain from back injuries, knee surgeries, neck issues, shoulder issues, really became a major part of my life. So much so that it was a major factor in what costed me a marriage. I was ended up separated from my then wife of 20 years. And, you know, I told you I was 2 years sober before that. Well, now all of a sudden my mentor is no longer around because I'm retired. So is my then spouse is out the door and she's gone. And so what that meant to me was alcohol with no restrictions. It was alcohol 24 hours a day. It consumed me. It owned me. It also allowed me the opportunity to pass out instead of going to sleep. And when you pass out, ladies and gentlemen, the neat part about that at the time was that you don't remember your nightmares. The things that eat you alive at night when you sleep, you don't remember anymore. And the numbing part of passing out was the chronic pain. You didn't wake up for you got to actually get like 3 or 4 hours of sleep every single day as long as you passed out. And so that became an every single day part of my life. I went ahead and got to the point where I lost what I call my lifers at Fob Razor. I call them lifers for life. And I tell them all the time, I lost my Fs. I lost all of my Fs. I had 4 of them, and I lost all of them. I lost my family. I lost my freedom. I lost my friends, and I lost control of my finances. I had no finances, but the freedom part, you know, as a guy who dedicated his life to service of country and service of others, I was a slave. It owned me. Alcohol made my decisions for me. So much so that in September of 2016, early September, I couldn't take life anymore on life's terms. And I had decided that I was going to take my own life and end my life. I found myself in the bathtub of my apartment with the shower curtain pulled back and a pistol in my mouth. The average pistol has about 6.5 pounds of pressure on it, and I began pulling the trigger. So much so that I'm going to bet that I probably had about 1.5 pounds of trigger pull left to go before that hammer struck that created the firing pin to hit the primer and take my life. And the weirdest thing happened. My dog, of all things, is what stopped me from continuing on. It's what made me take my finger off the trigger. See, I have this dog. His name is Cup. He's a German Shepherd. He's my best friend. And he stuck his head in the shower. He busted through that shower curtain, and he just was looking at it. And I know this sounds crazy if you're not a dog person. Maybe some of you got to be. The odds are. But the only thing that went through my head when he did that, like I said, I lost everything. I lost all my Fs. And when Cup stuck his head in there, all I kept thinking was, he is the only thing I have left. He is the only thing that hasn't left me. He's the only thing that loves me for who I am. And if I went ahead and killed myself, what would he think? Who would take care of him? And how long would it take before anybody found him? So I picked up a phone and I called a rehab. And they said, Gunnery Sergeant, you are in dire need of help and we need to put you in rehab. And I did. I was immediately whisked away to a rehab and I was there for 30 days. And they said, Gunny, you're not here to freaking learn how to quit drinking. You're not here to learn to be cured of PTSD. You're just here long enough to get healthy, to get out there and learn how to live life on life's terms. But we're here going to get you healthy. And after this, you need to go to a halfway house, because you are in no way, shape, or form ready to go ahead and move back into the real world. I was so tired of being a slave. I was so petrified of what happened. I didn't argue. I just said, whatever it takes, I'll do it. And I did. And when I left that rehab, I went to a halfway house. And I'm going to tell you a story right now that's absolutely amazing, ladies and gentlemen. I met a gentleman by the name of Bobby. Bobby is an 89-year-old man now. He fought in the Korean War as a US Army soldier. He fought at a battle called the Chosin Reservoir, which historically is one of the most famous battles in American history. He didn't just fight at the Chosin Reservoir, though, but he also became a prisoner of war and spent a year in a Chinese POW camp where he was abused and tortured on the regular. Bobby, if anybody knew post-traumatic stress, it was Bobby. If anybody understood what it was like to use alcohol as a way of not dealing with life on life's terms, it was Bobby. And he sat me down and he said to me straight up in his little Southern voice and his little Southern Texas accent, he said, son, let me tell you something. If you want to learn what I know how to do, that's live life on life's terms, I'm here to tell you how to do it. I was tired, folks. I was sick and tired of being a slave. And I said, Bobby, I'll do whatever you need me to do. I'll do whatever you got to do. And we began working. We began sitting kneecap to kneecap on a regular basis as he walked me through this way of life that he had been through himself. Now, while this is going on, almost simultaneously while this is going on, my best friend, my brother, Joe Razor, to whom we named Forward Operating Base Razor after. Joe Razor was from the same hometown as me, back home, just outside of Tampa, Florida. Joe Razor was my right-hand man and my best friend. We fought elbow to elbow in Iraq and Afghanistan together, and he'd saved my life on multiple occasions and vice versa. While I was going through this with Bobby, unbeknownst to me at the time, my brother Joe Razor was going through the same issues I was going through in September of 16. And the difference is he actually took his own life. And in the spring of 2017, I lost my best friend. Next slide, please. Joe never got to understand this life that I had been shown. I never got a chance to tell Joe what I was going through. I told Joe I was going to rehab, and I told Joe I was hurting, and I talked to him when I got out, when I got better, but he never knew what I was working on. He never knew that there was this guy named Bobby, and if you look at this slide, this sweet old man right here, this is the gentleman this is Bobby. This is the man that saved my life. But Joe never got to know anything about any of this. So shortly thereafter Joe's death, I got my F's back. I got my family back. I got my friends back. I got control. I got my finances back. And most importantly, because of working with Bobby, I got my freedom back. See, after working with him and up until to this day, as long as I keep doing what I'm supposed to be doing, I am not a slave to a beverage. It doesn't own me today. As a matter of fact, I didn't just get my F's back, ladies and gentlemen. If Bobby would have asked me to make a list when we started working together over 4.5 years ago of what I needed not to commit suicide, what actually would have happened, what I got, is astronomically huger than anything I could have imagined 4.5 years ago. As a matter of fact, most of the things I would have wrote down 4.5 years ago I'm not even interested in today. But because of Bobby, I got a new way on life, and I got a new way of living life on life's terms. And for that, I am forever grateful to this man. And I owe him a debt that I'll never, ever be able to repay to him in any way, shape, or form. Next slide, please. Okay, Fob Razor, ladies and gentlemen. Before I tell you how we started Fob Razor, I have to tell you what we're all about. Fob Razor, forward operating base razor. We have a model that we live by, okay? First of all, we encourage these veterans. We encourage veterans who suffer just like I did to come to meetings and meet on a regular basis as a whole, as one unit. We say one team, one fight. And for that, we attack this enemy that's killing us at 22 people a day. 22 people a day. We say, let's come together, let's reboot, let's refit, and let's go and take the fight to it together as one team, one fight. We also encourage step work. Like I said, Bobby took a program that a lot of other people have used, a 12-step program, a program that's been used regularly for alcoholics and addicts and people of other issues. And he showed me how to apply these 12 steps to what I suffer from as a veteran with post-traumatic stress. And he sponsored me and worked me through these 12 steps. And that's what we encourage our Lifers for Life Fob Razor to do with their sponsors. We also encourage leave no veteran behind. We do that. We say that just like on the battlefield where we leave no man behind, we're not going to leave any veteran behind today. We hold ourselves responsible with checking in on each other and checking in and owing, we are responsible to one another for picking up the phone when another veteran needs to talk to somebody. We also encourage our veterans to do buddy checks, but we also encourage veterans who aren't suffering from post-traumatic stress or addiction to check on other veterans. We even encourage civilians who have never even served, pick up the phone on Friday, every Friday, call a veteran, see how they're doing. Because just like with me, nobody knew I was suffering. Just like with Razor, nobody knew he was suffering. And so we go ahead and try to get ahead of that for the next person. But see, at Fob Razor, the other thing we're doing is we encourage service. We encourage service to others. We encourage not only, just like with Bobby and what he gave me, I am compelled for the rest of my life to try to give that to another veteran, because I can never repay Bobby for what he's given me. But I can try to help somebody else. And that's what we encourage our veterans at Fob Razor, our lifers, to do after they've worked the steps and they've turned the corner and are living a new life. The other thing that's just as important to us is our service to our fellow man. We as veterans, we are the 1% of the United States population, less than 1%. We took on an obligation. We swore to uphold and protect the 99%. And we encourage our veterans today to still live by that oath and still provide service to their fellow man wherever they possibly can, and to leave any bit of earth better when we leave it than when we found it. Next slide, please. Folks, let me tell you about Fob Razor and our secret sauce, okay? Let me tell you, first of all, let me tell you how Fob Razor started. I was driving down the road here in Houston area with my then girlfriend, now wife, my bride, my queen. And she said to me, if you could do anything, if there was anything, what is Jeff left to do? What do you have left to do? What do you need to do? And I told her, I said, if I could just do anything, if there was anything I could do, I'd want to help my fellow veterans the way Bobby helped me. I'd want to try to put something together where I can help just the way he helped me, because I can't repay Bobby. I've said that 4 times now. Well, let me tell you something about my then girlfriend, now wife. She is a successful entrepreneur. She started her own company called Under Summers in 2011, and it's grown to an international clothing brand. She's also somebody that just, entrepreneurs don't hear ideas and let them just go away. The good idea ship just doesn't get to come with entrepreneurs and then, oh, that's a great idea, and then do nothing with it. She said that's a great idea, and she held me responsible by her assistance putting a plan together to actually make this happen. And we did. You see, my wife, Carrie Ray, not only, she's perfect, we're a perfect team, because she knows business, she knows marketing, she knows finances, but she also understands the struggles of being married to a veteran with post-traumatic stress. She understands what it's like to be married to an alcoholic. And she also understands, as somebody who's recovering from alcoholism herself, she understands exactly what it's like to work the 12 steps and how much it changes your life by doing so. So that's part 1 of the secret sauce. The second part, the other part of the secret sauce is, I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but I like to talk. I get enthusiastic about the things I love, and I'm an instructor. I love to teach. I spent 4 years as an instructor at the School of Infantry. I won the Instructor of the Year 2 years in a row. I was put on the planet then to train Marines, and I am put on this planet today to train veterans and to show them a new way of life. And that's the secret sauce between Carrie Ray and myself. We make a team that is tailor-made for Fob Razor and what we have to offer. Next slide, please. Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to show you just one picture of the fob. This is Fob Razor. This is the inside of Fob Razor. You know, when we started Fob Razor over 6 months ago, and I'm telling you, when you look at Fob Razor right now, I'm telling you that it looks like a forward operating base. It smells like a forward operating base. We've had artifacts and pictures and all kinds of neat gear donated by our lifers to make this feel like a forward operating base. And, you know, when we started Fob Razor 6 months ago, we were like, you know, it was kind of like that Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. Well, they did. In less than 6 months, we've got over 50 veterans and first responders that we serve at Fob Razor. 50 veterans and first responders who suffer from post-traumatic stress, addiction, and so many of which were contemplating suicide. And we meet in this room right here, and we give each other experience, strength, and hope, and we walk each other through a new way of living. We also have meeting rooms inside the building where sponsors can meet one-on-one and they can work this 12 steps with their sponsors. And we also got a giant backyard where we have what we call our mandatory fun. All of my lifers, you're going to get together, we're going to cook out, we're going to eat hearty, and we're going to enjoy each other's company. Next slide, please. Here's our goals, ladies and gentlemen, at Fob Razor. It sounds crazy, but we know we can do this. We got a goal of 156 lifers that we can serve in the next 12 months. Our data, what we're doing, shows us that we can make this happen. As a program, we have a long-term goal of being open 7 days a week. You see, that's important because when I first got into recovery and when I first needed recovery the most, I needed to be in a recovery-based meeting every single day for the first year. And that's what's so important. And that's why we know that that's what Fob Razor is the right thing for it to be. Because if we're open 7 days a week, we can have multiple meetings a day and fit everybody's schedule. We also have the goals of training our staff and the community. We need to train our staff and the community in assist modules to help with suicide prevention. Education is the key here, and identification is the key here. The one thing we need at Fob Razor in order to make any of this happen is we need a full-time employee in order to be open 7 days a week. The intent is for that employee to be me. The reason behind the need for a full-time employee is really, it's first of all, military veterans need leadership. There needs to be somebody in charge who can be there and guide and mentor. But the other thing that you're dealing with, ladies and gentlemen, I don't think it's hard to make y'all understand, is that when we're dealing with veterans with post-traumatic stress, there has to be a security element involved for the safety of all. There has been instances early on in the global war of terrorism where people have been trying to help out individuals with post-traumatic stress and they've gotten hurt over it. So there needs to be leadership and security on hand at all times when working with these veterans. And that's something that I'm quite capable of doing after my years in recovery as well as in combat arms. We're also working on our own content. Ladies and gentlemen, we're making our own publications. The 12 steps that we're working are fantastic and they work great. But what I've learned over the last 6 months is they work better when I put them in terms and I use verbiage and I use the acronyms and the methods in which they know as military people. When we put these things in in the military terms, it immediately clicks and it immediately it drives this sense of pride that they remember about being in the military. Our financial goals is to have a revenue of about $85,000 to $100,000 a year. And what that is, that's going to cover not only salaries, but it's also going to cover operational costs, as well as it's going to cover the training needs that we need for our staff, as well as, like we said, the public. Next slide, please. How can you help? If you were interested in helping us at Fob Razor, this is how you could do it. The first and most important thing is tell the world about us. Tell us what we're doing. You know, we're not just helping men and women in Texas. We have men and women that are joining us virtually, just like we are here today, from all over the country that are joining us and that are part of our program, and they're working this program with us. So if you know anybody, any veteran or first responder who's suffering, who's dealing with post-traumatic stress or addiction, or just life on life's terms, please tell them about us. We're here. We want to help. We also need help in the fact that if you know any veterans that are actually that have been through a 12-step program and they want to give back, put them in contact with me, please. We need more mentors. Hey, I can be reached on Facebook. We're on that Instagram. We're on @Fob Razor. My cell phone is everywhere, everywhere. There's not one website, not one publication where I don't put the only phone I have, and that's my cell phone. It's up here today too. I want people to have my phone number. I am willing to deal with the nonsense calls that my warranty on my automobile is about to expire. I'm okay with that, as long as there's a chance that a veteran may call asking me what can Fob Razor do for them. And if anybody that would be kind enough to make donations to meet our 7-day-a-week goal, we'd be very grateful. Again, we can be reached at fobrazor.org, cell phone. My address is on the website, and I'm available 24 hours a day. Next slide, please. Ladies and gentlemen, it's been an absolute honor and a pleasure to sit here and spend time with you guys today. I told y'all 23 minutes, and I think I was a little long, and I apologize about that. I told you I get a little excited when I talk about things, but it's been an honor. It's been a pleasure, and I could tell by that y'all are just some really special people. So I just want to say thank you and ask at this time if anybody has any questions or if anybody has any concerns, feel free to ask them now, or if you want to ask them offline. Like I said, I am available all the time. Thank you so much. It was an honor.